Chinese money has gushed into South Asia and especially Pakistan in the past decade. Pakistan enjoys a special economic relationship with China, and the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC, is regarded as the crown jewel of the BRI. It will offer China the shortest access to the markets of Central Asia, Africa, the Middle East and Europe through the deep-sea port of Gwadar, which is the linchpin of the initiative. Although CPEC was launched in 2015, local resistance affected its pace. Pakistan realized that China's investment is primarily about its own economic and geopolitical objectives, as it has commercial and military interests in Gwadar. In 2021, protests erupted in Pakistan's port city Gwadar against a severe shortage of water and electricity, and threats to livelihoods. Demonstrators, including fishers and local workers, blocked the roads. They burned tires, chanted slogans, and shut down the city. The protests were part of a growing discontent with China's presence in Gwadar, in which China invested billions in infrastructure projects. In January 2023, protests continued to escalate. Gwadar rights movement leader issued a warning to Chinese nationals to leave the Gwadar port area, potentially jeopardizing economic ties between China and Pakistan.
The CPEC faces its own challenges. I mean, it's a hugely expensive project, $62 billion alone, but then there's, there's another potential, huge amounts of investments going in on top of just the corridor itself and the connection, the Gwadar port and the like. And so we see some slowdown in these projects. Well, there's no doubt that Pakistan's instability affects China's ability to operate effectively there, as it would any country, and as it affects the Pakistani people themselves. The Gwadar port obviously is a huge investment for Pakistan and for China, and a key part of that economic corridor that China is seeking to build with Pakistan. And so, the investment there is huge. We've seen, obviously, work stoppages. We've seen challenges. We've seen the concern in the Pakistani government about the debt that's being taken on to do this. And of course, anytime you have political instability of the kind that Pakistan has, protests and the like, that's going to make it harder to engage in these large-scale, long-term economic development projects.
China has shelled out large loans to countries like Afghanistan and Pakistan to secure its BRI dream. It has also considered Afghanistan's membership and participation in the BRI, with a delegation from Afghanistan participating in its forum in 2017. Let's not forget that even before the fall of Kabul, a Taliban delegation headed by its senior leader, Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar, had visited China and held talks with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. The Taliban had declared that it sees China as a friend of Afghanistan. The Taliban's complete control of Afghanistan and withdrawal of the US troops, China appears to be chalking out plans to extend its BRI to Afghanistan and invest in the country to exploit its rich minerals and rare earth mines. Considering China's engagement with the Taliban, will it be able to reach its BRI goals?
China sees what a lot of nations have seen in Afghanistan, which is a country that needs help, that wants assistance, that needs political stability to empower its people and to take advantage of economic opportunities. Afghanistan sits on one of the richest deposits of critical and rare earth minerals in the world, and has never really been able to develop those resources because of the constant warring between various groups, ethnic and otherwise. The constant flow of corruption in that country. It's anybody's guess as to whether the Taliban can really consolidate power and be successful. Taliban leadership that remains in Pakistan, that does create instability in that border region, creates instability in the northern areas, which sometimes the Pakistani military, asserts itself in and sometimes doesn't. So all of that absolutely will have an impact on both China's efforts to invest in that corridor, that economic corridor, but also any investments it may or may not make in Afghanistan.